Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to be introduced by Professor Dr. Judith Cook herself. Hearing that introduction, I kind of like to hear this guy myself, actually. Thank you. Now, I'm calling this conference got it written here, Navigating the Depths of Psychiatric Rehabilitation. Yeah, well, I'm getting old, so when I heard that, I heard navigating the death of psychiatric rehabilitation. And that's what I'm here to talk about. Oh, you laughing, are you? Mm-hmm. As Dr. Cook mentioned, I'm a psychologist. I'm a Marine. And I'm schizophrenic. I know, this is USPRA. You got to be politically correct, so I'm also a person with schizophrenia. Thank you. Now, Marine Corps. I'm the hoorah. Oh, yeah. I'm sensing I might not be the only Marine in this room. We got any more Marines in here? Hoorah, yes, sir. Stand up and identify yourself, please. Marine, Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. Let's give them a big hand. Any of the rest of you ever heard of the Marine Corps? How about the other services? We got anybody else been in the service in this room? Can we stand up and identify yourselves, please? You're not ashamed. Outstanding. Outstanding. Marine Corps, the military. Actually, I happened being a military brat. I was reared in all kinds of places and actually went to the first and second grade right here in Norfolk. It was kind of a homecoming for me. I'm going to tell you something. I've not told anybody this before. I started the first grade here in February. 6 years old. That's a little late. I never, until recently, knew why I started in February. But I do know my mother was gone. She's gone, and she told the family to promise not to tell anybody why she was gone until she passed away. So when she passed away, I was told. My mother was gone because she'd been put away. Insane. In the state hospital in Georgia. I never knew that. She came back. I don't even know if it's true. I know this is what I'm being told. So not only am I schizophrenic, I'm also the son of one of those schizophrenic mothers you've heard so much about. Marine Corps, schizophrenic. Oh yeah, psychologist. Now I've been fighting these people for 40 years, ignoring the needs of the more psychologically disabled people in this country, the seriously mentally ill. So I'm very happy to say that every 60 years or so, the psychologists have a gathering. I had one 60 years ago called the Boulder Conference, where they decided they're going to become scientists, practitioners. Now they've decided maybe that's not working out so well, so they had another gathering a couple of weeks ago in San Antonio, 150 of us, and 4 days, and I actually heard we need to be concerned about seriously mentally ill people, the homeless, and particularly those in jails and prisons, and I'm going, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now, psychology, schizophrenia, Marine Corps. 20 years ago when I started becoming open about having this disorder, I started attending the alternatives conventions. Yeah, the troopers. Went to every one of them for many years. There's a lady there, Ray Unslinger. Some of you may remember Ray. One day, she liked screaming at me. She screamed at everybody with good cause. Screaming at me and said, "Oh, so you're a psychologist, a Marine Corps psychologist, are you? And you say you're also schizophrenic. Well, I want to know something, Mr. Marine Corps psychologist. Which one are you first?" And I said, whoa, she's got a good question. And I didn't have an answer for her right then, but I thought about it. I was schizophrenic first. I'm schizophrenic first. Now, these psychologists, not only are they beginning to notice the seriously mentally ill, but we're also got a bunch of money, put in the museum, the National Museum of Psychology in Akron, Ohio. We just had our 2-day celebration of this 4-story building. You might wonder why it's in Akron. Well, we are the home of AA and recovery and that sort of thing, but it's there. And as part of that, we had notables from all over the country come in and give us talks. And one of those notables, I'll call him Dr. White. And I'll call him Dr. White because that's his name. Now, Dr. White is the world's foremost authority, no question about it, on inclusion, diversity, inclusion. And he gives a fantastic talk. He's one of the first African-American psychologists in this country. He talks about how there were days when there were no African-American policemen, there were no African-American judges, there were no African-American psychiatrists or psychologists, and he was one of the first. A friend of his actually wrote a book called And Even the Rats Were White. Dr. White gave a fantastic talk on inclusion and how we must include all traditionally ostracized, neglected individuals, regardless of their race, their religion, their gender orientation. We've got to include them. At the end of the talk, he asked for questions or comments. And I got up, grabbed the mic and said, "Dr. White, that's one of the most fantastic talks I've ever heard on inclusion, and you certainly have had a very, very great career. But I'd like to ask you one question. Could you tell me, please, of these 150,000 psychologists you have in the American Psychological Association, could you please tell me how many of those are schizophrenic?" Well, he freaks. Schizophrenic? That's a shameful thing. We would never have anybody with schizophrenia in this. We would never. Now, the APA had just given me their highest award for advocacy, and I thought that might have come to his attention. But having this condition, living with it for over 40 years now, I know something. I've learned something.